Hello, my name is Daria Rudakova, and this is my final project. As it is a self-reflect about whom did I become as a critical reader, I should start from telling you whom I had been before I came to this class. Well, I would like to mention that I love to read, but it wasn't like this all the time. Firstly, when I was a child, I literally hated books. It seems to me difficult and boring to read, and for what should I do this if I have it to be? My mother was always arguing with me about this, but my only answer was like, "It's 21st century, mom, leave me alone with all these heavy books." And later, it changed. Recently, I read in one story where the author explains how did she become a book lover. She says, "I supposed it all began when I first opened up a book of Keats or Blake or Tennyson or Wordsworth." Well, in my case, it has happened when I firstly opened up a book of Leo Tolstoy, Nabokov, or Chekhov. And yes, it's changed my whole life. Since then, a simple book became to me as that old cupboard from the movie called The Chronicles of Narnia. Do you remember it? It was an ordinary cupboard from the first sight, but if you only opened the door, it would transfer you to another world. Thus, when I came to this class, I believed that I was quite an advanced reader. But the third thing I learned as a critical reader is that there's always something new you can learn. I would like to use Goethe's quote in order to explain what that the reader-response theory means to me. He says, "A valid attention transforms any negligible detail into something significant." So it is all about attention. I remember our homework for the story called The Hills Like White Elephants. When I firstly read the text, I understood only 20% of the information. But later, with the help of such tools as reading, highlighting, asking questions, listening to my classmates, I managed to discover a huge amount of clues that were hidden among the lines. These tools help to discover the iceberg that lays behind every plot. Initially, the author gives us only 20% of information with his words, while he hides 80% of the meaning in the context. In order to discover such an iceberg, I like to use rereading, as it is one of the most useful tools for me. Rereading offers the opportunity to rethink messages and see features I have not noticed in initial reading. When I reread through the whole text 2 or 3 times, I found that my own comprehension of the text improves, especially if my goal is to find how information is presented or arranged in the text, how it is sequenced and weighted. In addition to this, I often use such a strategy as the selective highlighting. It helps me to organize what I have read by selecting what is important. I like to highlight only key words, phrases, vocabulary, and ideas that are central to the understanding of the reading. I also use different colors of the highlighting. For example, yellow for the main idea and green for the description. Thus, when I have to write a readerly response or any other work about the story I read, it is very easy for me to find all the information I need. One of the most memorable moments to me in this literature class was to discover a book called The English Patient that I chose for my free reading blog. I truly enjoyed it, as it was helping me to relax in the end of the difficult day, and also it was taking my attention from all the worries and difficulties I have in daily life. When I finished it, it was quite quickly because it was extremely interesting. I got inspired to find a new story that would take my breath away. Recently, I went to a bookstore, and by accident, I found a book that I wasn't interested in from the first sight. But as soon as I opened it, I fell in love with the language and the narrative by itself. This book just brought a new meaning to my life, gave me strength and motivation to move forward. So I cannot even explain how glad am I that I discovered it. But not everything was that easy to me. I faced a serious challenge: computers. I never was good enough working with all these digital tools, so it was a huge deal to me to publish every new blog or even to find out how to leave a comment at the blackboard. Anyway, it's not doing the things we like to do, but liking things we have to do, right? So I admitted that it's the 21st century in the end of the day, and I turned my enemy into my friend. So I am not only figured out all my problems with the computers, but I also decided to create my own internet-based project that is dedicated to the literature. I want to create this project to share my own point of view, because we all are very different and have very different attitudes toward the same situation or book. It was my aha moment, by the way, to discover it. We had a class discussion about a story called Two Kinds, and it marveled my mind how many opinions exist to one single situation. Most of all of them are interesting and have a place to be. Listening to my classmate that day was like reading different authors, seeing the life from different perspectives. Thank you so much for your attention, guys. I hope that you enjoyed my presentation and that you got something interesting. Goodbye.